Hello, everybody. Welcome for a new episode of Confessions of a Facilitator with Betsy McLoughlin. Is this how I pronounce it?
Mhm.
Woohoo! This is the
Woohoo!
wisdom series dedicated to facilitators and their favorite tools. And yes, today I have the pleasure, leisure, honor, surprise, and curiosity to welcome Betsy, who is a seasoned facilitator with Access Consciousness. So, for those of you who don't know what Access Consciousness is that huge toolbox, toy box, where you go pick tools out of it and you change your life just like by magic. On one condition, though, you have to choose for it. So,
True story.
Betsy, I'm going to look you into the eyes, and I don't know where your eyes are, but somewhere there.
Right here,
And
darling.
I'm going to do the drama queen, the telenovela style. Betsy, who
Yes,
are
darling.
you? And what is your favorite tool? And from now on,
I love it. Oh my God, there's so many favorite tools. And I love that you said the toy box too, because it truly is a toy box. Like, just imagine, the fullest toy box filled with toys that you as a kid can go open at any time and say, oh, which one should I play with today or right now? And that's one of my favorite things about playing with the tools and the toys of Access is that. So, when somebody asks, what is your favorite? It's like, well, it really depends. It depends on the moment. And one of my favorite, though, that's popping in to talk about now is the question, what else is possible?
alrighty. I know that. I know that. Okay, so let me tell you that to me it's always a surprise, even if we know the tools and if everybody's talking about them. Each and every one of the facilitators coming in brings in a new perspective on it.
Mm.
And I'm sorry, I wanted to trick you in. Nobody's staying with one tool. Like everybody's, it's like humanoid style.
Right?
Why stop at one when you can have the whole candy shop? So,
Exactly.
what else is possible? What is this, Betsy?
Yeah. So it's truly a question that I will ask for, I don't even know how many times a day I probably say it. And it's whether something, that you think is great is going on, something that you think is crap that's going on, or something in between. Really, for any situation that pops in, when you ask that question, I was like, gee, I wonder what else is possible here. Or the other thing I also like to add to it is, what else is possible beyond what I think is possible? Because so
Oh,
many times, right, our mind will we will decide we know how something's going to work out.
yeah. And you said something else there, which kind of, it's the it's the miracle touch to it, because you said, I wonder.
Yes,
So, Betsy, is this that part when you get to play with a tool and you not make it serious?
absolutely. Yeah. I love that question. Yes,
It's not
absolutely.
even a question, but it's like,
Yeah. No, that's so true, because, like, how much fun can you have with that wonder of really asking the question and then not having any expectation or conclusion or projection about what or how or who is going to show up to answer
oh,
that question.
what
So, in
or how or who?
or
What?
who, yeah. So, in asking that question and then just truly allowing the universe to show you, to respond. And it could be almost instantaneous. It could be a while down the road or anything in between. And just playing with that question will shift energies, it shifts conclusions, it shifts fixed points of view. And so that's why I love playing with it. And, you know, especially when somebody's telling you that something is not possible. You're like, it's not possible to do ABC. Oh, okay. But I wonder, you know, what else might be possible here? You know, and I've actually said that to people who have told me something's impossible, and they kind of like do a double take and they're like, what? Huh? What? And so as you know, being a facilitator, asking questions empowers people. So you're not giving any answers to anybody. You're asking questions and allowing them or the universe or whomever to show you what else might be possible. And I've used that question when I've booked hotels where I've been told things are sold out or they don't have what I'm looking for. And I go, gee, I wonder what else might be possible here. Wait, what? And sometimes when you ask that question, people really do desire to help you and see what they can do. I recently was at a class in Denver, and I had this inkling to call, and I called the hotel, and the room that I had reserved wasn't available. So I'm like, you know, saying to the woman, it's like, well, you know, I was told it was, and she's like, no, I'm sorry, we're totally sold out. We have no more rooms, blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, well, and totally from that space, not getting mad, not getting, you know, anything. It's just like, is there something else possible here? And she was like, oh, let me call the manager. And she puts me on hold, and she comes back and she's like, guess what? I found a room, and it's a bigger room than what you had reserved. And because I felt so bad that we told you you had a room and you don't, she gave me a lower price than my original reservation. And I was like, that's awesome. Thank you so much. Like, truly, you know, thank you, thank you, thank you. You know, and so I had no point. I knew that I'd have a hotel somewhere. I really was just like, okay, you know, what else can happen here? What else truly is possible?
You know, do you know what I hear here?
What's
Is
that?
that you were saying like, I had no point of view.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the space of getting angry.
Right.
So I think these are the ingredients that really spice it up.
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry, I might be a facilitator, but sometimes when I get to what else is possible, I get, what the hell is possible?
Right. Right, exactly. So it is definitely also an energetic thing, right? So if you're projecting, you know, anger and frustration at somebody, they may not be as inclined to contribute to you and what you're asking and looking for, as versus being that space of really like, okay, being a space of allowance with no point of view. And then like, it's such an invitation for opening the doors to seeing all the doors and windows and not just one closed door of impossibility. So yeah,
I have a question.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes,
because
darling.
it happened that I asked this question to people who are not in access.
Yes.
And they totally got angry. Okay, how do you deal with that? Because I remember when I asked it for the first time, and the people, it was at the reception desk. Mm-hmm. I needed to fill out some forms, and they were saying, yeah, no, it's not possible. Yeah. You will have to come back. And I'm like, oh. And I asked, okay, cool. So what else is possible? And I was kind of playful. Yeah. In my head, it was okay. Either way, if I have to come back, I have to come back. But
right.
They got so upset with me. The lady at the counter got so upset with me, as if I questioned her professionalism. Yes. Or cool. So what is that, Betsy?
Yeah.
How do you,
what do I do there? Well, and that's where you certainly can't control what somebody else does, right? So apparently she felt like you were attacking her professionalism, and that's not what you were doing. And, you know, it's like, okay, cool. And then that again is a great exercise in being that space of allowance for her to be like, whatever she's choosing to be, it's like, okay. And where you totally stay, you keep your barriers down, you don't react to what you're aware of with her, and you keep your barriers down, and you're like, okay, awesome, and maybe you tap into the situation, and what's required here is another great question.
Wow, what's required? Okay, so as you said, you cannot control how people react to this, but this is actually no reason and no justification for you to stop asking questions or to back down or to,
Exactly.
like lower the ears like like dogs, like
yeah, no, totally. And it just reminded me of another situation when we went to a hotel. I go to check in and I hand them a credit card and it gets declined. And I'm like, I checked this balance before we left. I know there's plenty of money. And they're like, I'm sorry, it's declined. It's declined. I called the credit card company. They're like, yeah, you got plenty of money. I was like, well, then why did you decline the card? They said, because the credit card I gave them was an expired card. So, it had expired like 2 years before, and I didn't know that. I'm like, oops. So, and I had cleaned out my wallet of all my other credit cards before we traveled. And I'm in Houston with no way to check in. So I was like, okay. And I was on the phone and I said to them, I explained my situation. I was like, I totally messed up. I really need your help here. What else can we do? Because they're like, I'm sorry, we can't help you, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, I tell you what, I'm in Houston and I live in Maryland, like a 3-hour plane ride away in the United States. So what else can we do here? And they got a manager on the phone. They got a manager at the hotel. And, at half an hour, 45 minutes, maybe an hour later, I don't remember, we were in the room, and
wow.
they overrode everything. They said, yes, just give her, absolutely. And they charged everything. And I was like, that to me was another great example of being that, okay, all right, here, what am I going to do? And being that, staying in the question and really being willing to play in the energy of what else is possible when people are telling me, no, I'm sorry, we can't, you're screwed, basically is what they were telling me at first. I'm like, well, that doesn't work for me. So what else can we do here?
Not that type of screwing. I mean,
exactly.
that's not,
Exactly.
But, you know what comes up it's like, okay, cool. So there are situations and situations, but what happens? Okay, so it's not for you, Pips. That's only for me. If there are 3 people coming and saying the same thing to me, it's a very high chance that I buy their point of view and I don't go to what else is possible. So what would be, have you always used this what else is possible, or
no?
Is it something that comes natural to you, or is it something that, or have you trained yourself? Or
I've definitely learned, I've been playing with the tools of access for about 7 years now, and it has really, really changed my life. No, I didn't always I was not always in the question. I was very, very much with my fixed point of view, and, this is the way it is, and there's no other way. And I mean, sometimes I would say things like, there's got to be a different way. But I didn't have the toy box and the tools that I have now, where there are so many questions that I can ask. And I'm so much more aware of energies now. So if I get to the place where I'm crunchy, like a space of I'm aggravated, I'm crunchy, I'm sad, I'm mad, whatever it is, I now have these tools where I can ask these questions to change where I'm being. And for that, I am like eternally grateful.
Wait.
Yes.
To change where I am being.
Yeah.
It's not to change where the others are being. It's where
Bingo.
I am being.
Yes.
So what is this? Why would you change the place where you're, because normally people look outside. They want
Yes.
the situation to change so that they are okay, or
Yes.
so what?
Yeah. And I very much would live in that, and be the victim, and everything happened to me. And, so-and-so is being a jerk, and this thing, and this is, and it was always, like you said, outside of me. And so now I realize that I control how I react. I can, the only one I can control and change is here, not out there, but here.
That's a tricky question, because I'm asking you because there are a lot of people who are saying, yeah, but how do I use the tools to change the other person? How do I use the tools to convince my husband of? How do I use the tool to trick my kids into something? Or and to me, it's obvious that it starts with you being it, or having the willingness to even train yourself to being it. It's an invitation for the others to make their choice. But what about those people who are, they will be watching? It's not you peeps, that's just an idea. For those who are watching, you're saying, yeah, but how do I do this with my husband or with my kids? What would you tell them?
And those are great questions. And what I have found for me, when I changed me, everyone around me changed too. And I was like, hold on a second. How is that working?
Yeah, how is that working?
Yeah, and it really is. And that shows how we are all connected. Like way, way, way more than we realize. We're all connected. So you change you, and people around you change. And, like a great example of that is, have you ever walked in somewhere and somebody's in a bad mood?
Oh.
And you smile at them, or you tell them a joke, and all of a sudden they're smiling and laughing. And you see them literally change just by something that you were, something you did. One time I was with my friend, and he was visiting, and we were having a phenomenal time. And we went into a store, and this guy, the energy that he was being, it's like he hit us like with a brick wall of, oh, my life sucks, this job sucks, people suck, everything sucks. And we just went in, and I know we've all been there, we've all done, we've all seen it.
I'm like, everything was a huge blowjob then.
Right. I love it. And we were laughing and telling jokes, and there was a long line. And by the time we got up to him, we just kept joking and kept being us. And he started smiling and laughing. And he's like, by the time we left, he's like, God, you guys made my day. And, so that is the gift that we all have. By being us, we can change someone else's world.
Ooh,
and
by being us, we can change somebody else's world.
Yeah.
Is it hard?
It's really hard.
But I'm still going to go there and ask you, when do you know that you're you?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. And for me, it's truly when I'm happy, when everything is easy, and I'm just like, the effervescent bubbles kind of go through me of like champagne, and just I'm happy, and I'm simply being. That's when I know I'm being me.
Wow. I'm happy and I'm simply being.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and I wonder for people listening who, how they could embrace the magic that they be, and the gift that they be to the world that perhaps they've never even looked at.
Are you willing to look past the interesting points of view and the projections that
Yeah.
other people
Yeah.
placed on you,
Yeah.
on who you're supposed to be, on who you're supposed to, what role you're supposed to play.
Mm-hmm. I spent so much time fighting all of that for so long, and now I'm so much better at it. And it's made my life a lot easier to not have to fight against other people's points of view.
And there you have a point. Most of the time I would step down if I felt that somebody had a stronger point of view than I had.
Yeah.
I would step down. Does it mean that I stopped the fight? No, because inside myself,
Right.
I was still, questioning, why am I not right in this thing?
Yeah.
And this brings me to what happened like 2 days ago in hospital. I had to do a checkup, and at some point there's this guy asking me a lot of questions and writing down all kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And he's saying, well, just before the procedure, we're going to give you a Xanax.
Ah.
And I looked at him and I started to laugh, like, already under the influence. And he was like, you're not willing the Xanax. And I said, why I mean, you're going to put me to sleep either way, so why would I? He looked at me like like I was some kind of an alien. And I started making fun, like, oh, so I knew it. I had to be in this room. This is the room with all the goodies, right? But the thing is, the whole conversation I had with him seemed like I've already been under influence without, I hadn't eaten anything and
Right.
then I asked myself, okay, so where I was having so much fun. Was I being me at that moment? And then I looked at the guy, and then there is this serious nurse coming in, and I'm like, oh, he just messed up my blood pressure. He couldn't take my blood pressure. I mean,
They're not used to people joking and, being lighthearted in that kind of situation.
And I looked at her and I said, now I know that for you this is real stuff and it's very serious. And I say, for me it's not. And she looked at me and said, you don't have a serious problem, but other people do. I was like, oh, thank God, I don't have a serious problem. You're just going to put me to sleep. Woohoo! But it's in that moment when the serious lady stepped in, that I started to question what was wrong with me, because I was having fun and I was feeling so good. I mean,
yeah,
I didn't buy the lie that if I'm in the hospital, I have to be dying somehow.
Yeah, good.
But at the same time, I felt like they were so much projecting at me that I should be.
Yeah. And that brings in that whole piece that I'm sure you've talked with other facilitators about, and that's how aware you are.
I have to, yes, I am. I am. And for all of you watching, it's not only about me or only about Betsy. We are all extremely aware. Yes. Have we learned to acknowledge this and to recognize this so that it doesn't belong to us? That's a different story.
Right.
But yeah, that's the question. What are we aware of?
Mm-hmm. Right. So all of a sudden you were being you, and then all of a sudden you're feeling these feelings and energies, and you're like, ugh. Right. And that's when you realize, hey, wait a minute, is any of this even mine? Or are you tapped into probably every employee there and beyond?
And every medical chart where they were trying to tell me that I'm such a bad humanoid.
Right.
Oh, thank you for this. But because it's in those situations when somebody is not really willing to receive the laughter or the ease or the joy or the lightness.
Yes.
Then I'd rather, I mean, That's the default modus. Okay, cool. So I step
Right.
back, make myself small,
Goes
and hide
down.
into a room.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. And so that's when, you're aware of it. It doesn't mean you have to stop being you, and that's what so much of what we do. We're aware of it.
Meme. It doesn't mean that if you're aware of others people's shit, you have to stop being you.
Correct.
Meme. We have a meme.
True story. True story. So in that face of judgment, in the face of projections, in the face of all of those conclusions, that you continue to be you. And you don't shrink, you don't shut down, you don't stop being you. You are you no matter what.
You are you no matter what. Thank you for reminding me of this. It's
So
like, it's the whole hospital experience has left, like, it brought about a lot of awarenesses. And this is another thing. It's not because I had the awareness that I have to make it solid right now and it becomes my reality, and therefore that I start to fight with it.
Yes.
But it was
exactly very well put.
At the same time, it's very interesting to see how people reacted to me going to the hospital, and to what extent even the word hospital brings in.
Yeah. So all those energies, return them all. None of those are yours.
It was still interesting to see to what extent people receive me being me, and to what extent they were telling me, maybe you'd better listen to the doctors and do what the doctors say. And I was like, okay, I know better. So yeah, how many times does it happen that somebody comes to you from a position of
authority, expertise? Yes.
And because they say it, and they say it in a strong voice and with papers in hand,
yes,
that has to be your truth.
Yes. Yeah. So everywhere you've bought that as your reality.
Can we please destroy and uncreate that? And there's the clearing statement coming up, and you're going to read all about the clearing statement, or watch it as it explained by Dr. Dan here, the co-founder of Access Consciousness. So right from Goes Battle Popcorn Shows, Boys and Beyonds. Yay, thank you for this. This looks like personal facilitation. It's only for me, peeps. Doesn't bother you. That's my personal time with Betsy.
Yay!
So can I tell you something?
Yes.
We met in Washington last year. Remember?
Yes.
At a COP.
I do remember.
And you're one of the first persons. You were not saying too much, but you were facilitating the whole COP just by you being there.
Thank you.
And I remember, my dog wants to get out. I remember that I was looking at you and I was like, what is she doing? You're not doing anything. You were just being there. And ever since that COP in Washington, you're my sweet one. Aww. Well, you also make crack.
I do. Thank you. I do. I make a delicious chocolatey, caramel, salty concoction that has been coined crack, because you can't just eat one.
Absolutely. And when Betsy brings it, oh, you cannot not have it. It's a very delicious thing, but I haven't had it in a long time. So it might be, is it now the time to come over, or?
No, it might be time to get some. Get some going in the kitchen. But thank you. That was very kind. And I loved meeting you there too. It was such an amazing class. And, I was amazed at how far you were willing to travel for that class as well. And I certainly remember meeting you there. It was an awesome class.
It was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, yeah, of all the class, that's the first one to me that banged the doors open.
Yeah.
Towards more and towards, you know what, to simpler.
Yes.
To less complicated.
Yes, and that's so true. And that's the gift of these tools. It really does simplify your life and make it way easier.
Way easier and way less telenovela style.
True story.
So if you ever bought that point of view that your life has to be a telenovela, guess what? It's so much easier when you don't have to take into consideration every single person's emotions, feelings, thoughts, and everything that comes with it.
Yes, so true. So true.
What if being you is actually simple?
What if?
What if?
And I wonder what else is possible now.
And this brings me to, before we say goodbye, because we both have to jump on a book club.
We do.
Yeah, and the book is here. The book is under the laptop. Yes, being you, changing the world of Dr. Dane here. Before we say goodbye, telenovela style, Betsy, if people want to stalk you, obsessively look for you, where can they find you?
Oh, thank you. Well, my website is creatingyumminess.com.
Oh,
and my email is accessbetsy, which is BETSY @gmail.com. And I'm on Facebook, so I'm easy to find.
You're easy to find.
I am. Or you can always ask Selena if you can't find me.
Well, you're easy to find, and this is something I would really like to acknowledge, that you're easy to not only to find, but also to reach to. Thank you so much for having, played with me tonight.
Thank you. This was so much fun.
To me, it was fun. It was for me, only for me, peeps. Doesn't concern you. So, Betsy, until we meet online on the other Zoom, kisses and hugs to you and to everybody. And until next time, all of life comes to us with
ease and joy and glory. Woohoo!
Yay! Bye-bye.
Bye.